moved to New York, ended up working at the production company Optic Nerve as the receptionist, where Cindy was the studio manager, Warren was a director, and I worked there in production for a while, and then fell into this band Sweet Thunder with Kelly Kuvo from the Scissor Girls and Lizzie Yoder, and then I was so turned on by the difference in the audience between music and experimental theater that that was happening at one moment, and then also Warren was having sort of a creative crisis, and we had worked on some film projects together that hadn't really gone anywhere, and so I suggested that he return. He had stopped making music. I'm telling this in such a round-ass about way. He was in Chicago in a band, came to New York, and then he had stopped making music, was making really bad children's, like Saturday morning toy commercials, kind of having a nervous breakdown. And I suggested that he return to making music so that he feel creatively fulfilled. And that's how it started. Initially, we had worked on a film project with his wife Karen the summer before. And so we were making just a soundtrack to go with the footage. And I suggested that we do electronic music because it was sort of fashion-based, so it seemed like it sort of begged for kind of like a dance pop song. And then I was also looking for sort of a platform to develop sort of solo material, and I couldn't find the right form, and I didn't want to do a monologue, I couldn't figure out exactly what I wanted to do, but it wasn't like a spoken word, first-person autobiographical monologue about gender or politics or anything like that. I was looking for something more formal. And so I had been telling this I'd been telling this story about a dirty cab driver. And we went to Sam Ash and kind of had an epiphany where we started playing with these rights-free CDs. And Warren had this vision of making pop music sort of paint by numbers. And I was also, had developed an interest in Bollywood cinema, and then I had this story about this dirty cab driver, and so the whole thing sort of came together in this weird song about a dirty cab driver that had samples out of Bollywood musicals and paint-by-number, rights-free CDs. And so we did that at Starbucks at a Sweet Thunder sort of variety show, and it was sort of from that moment on we realized that we were interested, and we wanted to. The show went really well, and I was really happy with it, and it just seemed like we were onto something. And then Warren started investigating electronic music more. He had never made it before that moment, and then in the fall of '98. He started he would just go to other music and spend hundreds of dollars on CDs every week trying to find a sound that he liked. And then he discovered this song by IF called Space Invaders Are Smoking Grass. And that was the kind of the sound that he locked into. And he said, I think this is the direction I want to go in. So he started pursuing and developing more musical ideas. And then we just started to beef the show up, trying to make it more interesting, and it seemed appropriate to bring in backup singers and to add choreography and wardrobe. No problem. So bring up backup singers and choreography and wardrobe, and then I thought that was kind of it. We did a show. First we did the Starbucks, then we did a show where Cindy and Lizzie came in, and we wrote 2 songs for that show, Natural Disaster and Persecution. And Natural Disaster's on the record still, Persecution sucks. And although some people like it as a joke. And then we went into the studio with Nicholas Vairns, who has a studio called Rare Book Room, and that was a very pivotal experience. We went in, I asked Nicholas if we could come in for 2 or 3 days to just document the vocal parts, and we ended up getting so wrapped up in production that we stayed for 2 months. And then it was in that recording session that a lot of ideas came about, and we started to get these bigger and grander ideas. Even then, we started imagining, set pieces and dancers and making it into a larger, more spectacular production, just based on the fact that it all came from sort of realizing that people were not taking advantage of all the opportunities that electronic music made possible. Mostly because people were concerned with illustrating some kind of musical integrity, even though it's a studio form. So once you just come to terms with that, then why not go ahead and, use it as an opportunity to do other things. So that was when, that was when we started exploring lip sync and not worrying about trying to portray the production of the music on stage, but to make it into something else. And then Jeremiah Clancy came in then I did a little show by myself at the Parkside, and then Jeremiah came in because we had worked on a production together in Eureka, and I needed someone to help me do all my wardrobe changes, and he had kind of played a similar role. And so then Jeremiah came in, and then then we brought in Jordana to work with, and then Jordana brought in Mindy. First she brought in Vanessa and Cynthia, and then Cynthia left, and then Mindy came in, and then Jeff came in around there, and Ange was in a little bit, and then it just, it kind of built.
Can you give me a little bit of a breakdown, like a quick breakdown of who does what?
Oh, yeah, sure. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Okay, so there's Warren, and he and I manage and oversee everything. And there's Karen Fisher, who works on a lot of the film work. And then Nicholas Vairns, who does all the music production. Cindy Green and Lizzie Yoder, who do vocals. Vanessa Walters, who does choreography and dances. Mindy, who dances. Did I say Jeremiah?
No.
I don't think so. Okay, Jeremiah Clancy, who's an actor, plays the role of Peanuts. Sort of an onstage dresser / character that's constantly in development, and developing and evolving. Angela DiCarlo does makeup. Jeff Francis, who does hair. We've worked pretty heavily and consistently with Peter Sorinen for wardrobe, Carlos Pistol for millinery and accessories, Elise Fife, who's made all of my specialty panties and additional wardrobe. God, I'm scared I'm forgetting somebody. That's kind of like the core, and then Stephanie's been dancing a lot, and I'm sure I'm forgetting someone, but that feels like the hard nugget right there.